Hello friends, you're with the Lonesome Gamer, and today I want to play 1824 Austrian-Hungarian Railway. And the game was designed by Leonhard Orgler and Helmut Ohley and published by Lonnie Games and Fox in the Box. Now this is a relatively new printing. I'm not sure, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I'm not quite sure. The game is much older. I think it's from, it's probably about 20 years old, maybe a little older now. But yeah, there was this reprint a few years ago. And we also did a while ago 1837. And I think we also did 1835. And this one is a game that kind of goes back to these two games. Especially there's a lot of similarities to 1837, as you will see. But it's a faster and a little more streamlined version. I'm not saying that's better, but it's a simple fact. So let's set it up. Okay, so the game is set up, and you can see, as in most 18xx games, there's quite a bit of stuff. Maybe this time there's even a little more. Let's first take a quick look here at the map. So it shows Austria, Austria-Hungary, not to the extent that we've seen in 1837. So, for example, Bosnia-Herzegovina is missing, and Italy is missing. It's just both are just off-board areas, and I think also overall the map feels a little smaller apart from these two missing parts. Wien and Budapest are the two major revenue centers. And then we have a couple of T cities like here and here, and they are also of a little higher value than the standard cities. So before I want to start, I want to give you a quick overview about what's different in the game. So the basic, I don't know, can you say MacGuffin of the game is the formation of the different share companies from specific minor companies. That's what kind of what the game focuses on a lot. And we have two different types of share companies. We got overall 3 state railroads: the Südbahn, Ungarische Staatsbahn, and the K&K Staatsbahn, so Southern Hungarian and the KK. And these 3 companies will form at specific phases in the game. And the Southern will form when the first 4 train is purchased, the Hungarian when the first 5 train is purchased, and the KK when the first 6 train is purchased. We have these pre-state railroads. These work like minor railroads. They basically operate like the standard railroads, but they have no share value, and they simply pay 50% to the owner, and the company keeps the other 50% in the treasury. And the Southern Railroad, the Southern State Railroad, will form out of 3 minor railroads, these orange ones. And the owner of this one here, the number 1, the Wien-Gloggnitzer Eisenbahngesellschaft, he will then exchange his company for the president's share. The owner of the 2 will exchange it for a 10% share, and the owner of the 3 will do the same. Now these shares here are reserved shares that are placed here. There are other shares of the Südbahn, so basically 6 more shares, and they can be purchased technically from the start of the game, but the company will not operate before the 4 train comes out, so they make no money. However, it can be interesting to purchase them at the right time, so when the company opens, you might get a chance to get the presidency even though you don't have the first company. Because let's assume you have one of these and you bought maybe 2 of these, then you have 30%, and then the Southern forms, and the owner of the presidency, the owner of the 1, only holds 20% of the shares, but you hold 30%, then you will get the presidency after the exchange. So that's an interesting aspect here. So the Southern has, or the miners of the Southern have 3 starting locations here, and that's basically then where we also can expect the State Railroad to operate in this area here, south of Wien. Then we have the Hungarian, and this one has only 2 pre-state railroads. Again, the first one here will be exchanged for the presidency, the second one for a 10% share. They start in Budapest and down here in Fünfkirchen, and they, as already mentioned, start when the 5 comes into play. And the last one is this one, the KK. They also form out of 2 minor companies, both located in Wien. So these companies, all of the state railroads, start at a share value of $120, and so if you want to buy one of these at the start of the game, you have to spend 120. The money goes into the treasury. And the companies that are traded in for presidencies, you have to pay 240, which goes in the treasury. And when then the companies form, the state railroad will get all the assets of the minor companies, so the money, the trains, and the tokens, and it will get, I think the Southern gets 6 times $120 because there are 6 shares out there left, and the other 2 get 7 times 120 in the treasury. I'm pretty sure about, I'm kind of sure about that, but we can check it if it happens. Then we have the regional railroads. These one here and this one. And these one, oh, let's start with that one. That's kind of a standard railroad. You can simply start it buying the director's share and setting a starting value, and if 50% of the company are purchased out of the treasury, then the company will float, and starting location is down here. It doesn't seem terribly attractive to me. You have 10 in yellow and 10 in green, which is really bad, and it's also hard. I mean, Yeah, you could try to go to Trieste, which is maybe kind of attractive, and I don't know, but it doesn't really feel that great to me. But later it becomes much better, 50 in brown, 50 in gray, so then it's probably more interesting to start. And then we have all these other regional companies, the 4 other ones, and they form out of these black coal companies. And kind of works like this over here with the state railroads. The owner of a coal company has a specific presidency that he will eventually exchange the coal company for. And he can do this from phase 3, and he has to do it eventually at phase 5. That with the beginning of phase 5, he's forced to do the exchange. And so we have the coal companies. They have their starting location in these areas here. These are coal mines. I'm going to explain how they work in a minute. And you can see here, if you then exchange this for presidency, you get a starting location here of the Böhmische Commerzbahn. This one here is connected with the Mährisch-Schlesischen Commerzbahn. Then over here we have the Karl-Ludwigs-Bahn, and down here the Siebenbürgische Bahn. And this works exactly the same way. You have these reserved shares, the presidencies, but it is legal to buy shares before there is an exchange of the presidency's share. And it is possible in this way to steal the presidency from the owner of the coal company. And these companies only start operating when 50% are purchased from the bank. So that's different to the state railroads. They will simply start operating during the phase when the conversion is triggered. But here, even if the coal company is converted, if they're not 50% out of the bank, then it won't operate. In addition, we have the mountain railroads over here. These are basically just like private companies. They all cost $120. They pay $25 every operating round, which is a good income. And they may be exchanged for a share of any of the regional companies, but there are no reserved shares for these. So if they can't exchange it, well, then they can't. They can do it from phase 3, and they have to do it when the fourth train is purchased. And well, if they can't do it, then the company simply closes. But they can choose whichever is available out here. A couple of interesting things about the trains. Again, pretty much like 1837, you got 2 different type of trains. You got your standard trains, like in 1830, where the range, the number of the train, simply indicates how many locations the train can hit. And here, then you have the G trains. These are the goods trains. The goods trains always have to start in a mine, and the mine will then pay one of these values, starting with the lower value at the beginning of the game, to the company's treasury, and then the goods trains can hit as many cities as indicated on the train, but it can add to the revenue an unlimited number of dots, depending on how many, obviously, it can hit. So overall, these G trains could be more profitable than the standard trains. The coal companies are only allowed to hold G trains. The other companies can hold both types. But remember, they have to start at a coal mine. So if you start operating here, you don't need a G train. And it's also kind of two different train rosters, which is interesting. So the G trains are unlocked when a specific standard train is purchased. So when the first 3 train is purchased, the 2 G trains can be purchased, not the other way around. So the standard trains determine the game phase. But the G trains are rusted by the purchase of specific other G trains. So for example, this one here is killed by the purchase of the first 3 G train and not by the purchase of the 4 standard train. And it is totally possible that there are multiple G trains available. For example, let's say the first 3 train is purchased, but not all the 1 G trains are purchased. Then you can decide if you want to purchase the 1 G train or the 2 G train. So that's kind of interesting. In addition, it is allowed to trade in the lower tier train for the next higher tier train. So I could, for example, trade in the 1 G train for the 2 G train, and I only have to pay 180 instead of the 240. And in this way I can also kind of, I cannot get train locked, right? So that's interesting too. Okay, I'm going to start with the first stock round now, and we're going to see mainly the starting package now get sold. Players start with 500. I'll do a 5-player game, by the way, and we start with $560 each. And in the first stock round, the last player in priority has the right to start, and he can either basically buy any of these shares. These make no sense because they will not operate. The only one that could be interesting is this one with the Bosnisch-Herzegovinian, but I don't think I want to do that. Or I can pick one of these companies here. And then it's the player number 4, player 3, player 2, player 1. And player 1 can choose twice. And from this time on, it goes in the standard player order around the table. And it's just like a standard stock round until everybody passes, basically. And if that happens, and there should be still some of these companies on the board, which I doubt, then they will be removed from the game, which might have some specific implications. These reserved shares, I think they will then become available for normal purchase, but we'll get to this if this should happen. So I'm starting to look at some of these companies here which are attractive and which are not. And well, first it looks like, okay, maybe you want some of these pre-state railroads, especially the ones that give you the presidencies, simply because eventually they will allow you to control the most money. And what's interesting is I mean, they are expensive. They cost $240, which would allow you to buy 2 trains, because the first trains cost only $80. But the problem is, I'm just wondering, yeah, for example, if you upgrade Wien, you kind of have to do it like this, I think. Or probably like that. I don't know. Yeah, you're going to do it like this, because there is already pre-printed track here. And that's interesting because these, well, actually that one could run 2 trains. That's the number 1 here. But this one, the one here, which also has $240, can only run a single train. And they don't have a second token or something. So that means, yeah, as long as they're in yellow, they can only run 1 train. So these are things we have to consider. But then when you look at this one here, the one in Graz, that looks kind of appealing, right? You could run 1 train over here to Vienna, the other one to Trieste. Pretty impressive for a start, but they only have $120, so they cannot afford a second train at the moment. So I'm at the end of the first stock round, and that's a bit weird, right? If you basically just buy these minor companies and the privates. Okay, so as expected, nobody started the Bosnia. This guy here owns all 3 pre-state railroads of the Southern and 1 mountain railroad. And this one really nobody wanted, but he eventually took it and thought, you know, I can maybe use it to build a good track for the Southern, although it doesn't look terribly attractive here. And he could spend all of his money, right? It just exactly worked out. This guy is in the same position. He could also spend all of his money. He bought 2 mountain railroads. And he spent, I think, $160 per mountain railroad. You can choose how much money you want to throw in there. That's indicated here. You can choose between these values. And then you immediately buy a train, a 1G train. So they actually start with a 1G train. And these values also then determine the starting values of the regionals. So they both start then at 80. And he wanted to buy these 2, so he sees an option maybe that these 2 can work together somehow. I just hope they don't get in the way of each other. And then he also holds 2 mountain railroads, so of these he already makes an income of 50, which isn't bad. This guy has 2 coal railroads, the one down here, and he started that at 180, so 90, and he paid $200 for this one. Mainly because he simply had nothing else to purchase, so he thought it might be reasonable to run 2 trains from here, so I just throw a lot of money in there and hope that I can get a second train in there pretty soon. And so my overall plan is to dominate this eastern area of the map. It doesn't look terribly exciting, but I think if you have both companies, maybe you can make some good money here. There are these 2 T cities here, and also Krakow over here, and the off-board areas are also fine. This one will go down here first, I assume. And to do this, I also purchased the Mohacs 5 Kirchner Bahn for 120, so I can help them building this piece of track, but I also want to go to Budapest, I guess. So this guy, has two state railroads. He's got the presidency of the Hungarian, this one here, and he's got the Kaiser Franz Josef, which is the one here. It's not terribly good. I guess it will go simply to Brünn first, and yeah, Wien is of course not bad, but we'll see. And then he also holds a mountain railroad. This guy has the I think pretty strong Kaiserin Elisabeth Bahn. So this one here, and if Wien gets upgraded, this is the one that can run 2 trains out of Wien already in yellow. He has 240 bucks, so he also has the money to do that. But it will take a few tile lays to get there, obviously. And then he holds 2 mountain railroads, so he also has an income of 50 out of these 2 railroads. But the last 3 players, they still have quite a bit of money left. This guy is sitting on 60, this guy is sitting on 80, and this guy is also sitting on 80. But there's simply nothing really left to purchase here. I mean, they can purchase these shares, but they won't make any money right now. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe the Bosnia will get started, and they can kind of come to an agreement to do this together so that they get a chance to invest their remaining money. We'll see what happens here. Okay, let's go into the first operating round. And first, the mountain railroads pay out the 25 bucks. I already did that. And now the coal railroads will operate in numerical order, and then the state railroads will operate starting with the orange one, the southern, then the Hungarian, and last the KK, and they will again operate in numerical order. So, and we can immediately run the trains, which is kind of nice here. So I'm gonna wait a second. I'm gonna start with these guys here. I guess I want to hit Pilsen. Because that gives me immediately money. So I'm going to do that. Simply going to grab a tile. I can only lay a single tile here. So just going to do it like this. And see here, that's the money that the company gets. So they get 10 bucks in the treasury. And then we run the train, and there's just this one city. So this is again 50% go in the company, so 10 bucks, and 10 bucks go to the owner. And now we could buy a train, but we don't have the cash to do it, so I'm just going to make some change. Okay. And now it's the second company, these guys here, and yeah, as I mentioned, I'm thinking about maybe we can work together here. So I think what I want to do though is, because I think it will take a while until we get to green. It's just a guess. I think it will take maybe, I don't know if we can get there, definitely not in this OR. So, I don't want to lose a tile action. You know, I'm going to spend 40 bucks, and then actually I'm going to run into the direction of Wien. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go this way, and you can upgrade dots. So this guy will place probably 2 tiles here, and then we can upgrade this and connect, and then we can run down here somehow. I think that's, I don't know. On the other hand, I'm not sure. Or do I want to lay here so that we can run? Maybe that's better. Yeah, I think that makes more sense. I'm going to run this way, and I can still upgrade this when the time comes. And maybe I lose a tile action, but yeah, I think it's still a better choice because I can run for more if with both companies. I think that makes more sense. So right now I'm just going to run for $10 here, and 10 go into the company. So this guy here with the 3 and the 4 and the 5 Kirchner, he's going to follow the plan and try to build down here. I thought about building here and in this way maybe go to Budapest, but my idea is to make these 2 companies strong eventually. And to get there, I want to build here in the east. So let's place a token here as a reminder. And then I'm going to run. The company gets $20. I'm going to run for 20, so 30 for the company and 10 for the owner. Oh, wait a second. This guy should actually have a train. I forgot to give him a train. And the owner gets 10. And now the last coal company is the one down here. And here I want to try to build down here. I mean, of course I could try to go up, but there is not a lot of dots here, so it's not that interesting. So I'm going to go Hermannstadt here, which also, this gives me also 20. And then I run for 20. So again, 30 for the company and 10 for the owner. Okay, so that's it for the coal companies. And now we're going to start with the pre-state companies, and we're going to start with the one here in Vienna. So we have a double dot down here. So I'm going to lay it like this. And I can upgrade Wien to paying $20, but I can still do this next turn. So I'm going to go in the direction of Graz. Remember, I control all 3 companies, and that didn't cost me anything. Now, I could buy immediately 2 trains. I got the cash to do it. Eventually I want 2 trains in here. So I cannot trade trains between companies yet. I can only do this from phase 3. I think I'm only going to buy 1 train because I want to have the money to upgrade Wien. I hope I don't regret this, but I think for now 1 train is fine because I can only run 1 train. And yeah, I think I'm gonna buy only 1. And I'm going to buy a standard. Oh, this is actually just 80 bucks. Oh, wait a minute. Then I can afford two. And I still, yeah, there's no reason to hold back then. I'm going to buy two. I didn't realize that. Okay, cool. Okay, I still got 80 bucks in the company, which is more than enough to upgrade Wien. And yeah. Yeah, I think it's actually interesting because if I think about that, as soon as the 3 trains came out, so this is when I would be able to buy over this train into this company with the goal to run 2 trains here. But at that point, I could upgrade Wien, and then I can also run 2 trains from Wien. But it will take me a bit. I have to either build like this so that I can go in this direction, or so I think I'm going to stick to the plan and try to get 2 trains into the company, into the Kärntner Bahn. Okay, so that means I'm done there, and now it's the Kärntner, and oh man, I need these tokens. I totally forgot about these tokens. So let's do it like this. And they got their starting tokens technically here, but honestly, I'm not sure if I'm even going to use the starting tokens for the coal mines. I mean, it's clearly marked where they are located. And so now we need the 2. Oh, God. What? Oh, it's here. Nice. And there are also wooden tokens, but honestly, I'm not a big fan of wooden tokens. So we're going to place this here, just like that. And my goal is to go to Trieste. It's more attractive than Innsbruck, although I also control this company. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is a better one. And I also purchased a train. And now it's the 3. And I think I want to go to Bozen, and then it would be cool if I could go to Innsbruck, Bozen, and then make a connection to Trieste. That would be nice. So let's see, how do I want to do that? Maybe using this one. And we need the 3. There we go. And I'm also going to buy a train for 80 bucks. And there we go. And then I got 40 bucks left, which will allow me to lay a tile in Bozen. And now we go to the Pest Weizen, the first one of the Hungarian. So again, we need our token. And then we got to lay a tile. So I can basically decide, this is the yellow tile for Budapest, and it allows me to go into 2 directions. So I'm going to be a little careful that the other guy doesn't lay the tile and lays it in a way that I'm kind of stuck like this or something. I don't want that. I want to go like this so that I can hit Budapest twice early. I want to go into this direction, maybe to this dot here, or maybe even to Kaschau. And the other one wants to go into this direction, I guess. Yeah, so I think I want to lay a tile here. Is that really what I want to do? That's a tough decision, right? I mean, yeah, there's Krakow, which is an interesting goal, an interesting destination, but I could also consider going like this. And, trying to maybe one day hoping for a good goods run by going down here and then into this area. Maybe that's more interesting. It gives me now a little bit less because I can only hook up this dot with a 2 train, and I'm not going to buy a G train right away. So it gives me a little bit less than going to Kaschau, but maybe on a long term, it might be a better plan, right? It's hard to tell though. It really is. But running a 3 train from here to Krakow is also not bad. Tough choices. You know, I think I'm simply going to roll a die on that. It's hard for me to determine. Wait a second, this is this guy. He's got 240. He definitely has the money to lay the track here. So I'm going to roll a die. On a 1 to 3, I'm going to go toward Kaschau. Okay, nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go toward the other direction here, whichever this little town here is called, and maybe eventually I'm going to aim for a powerful goods run. I also have the option to go this way here, so there are interesting choices here. Now is the question, how many trains do I want to buy? And I think for now I'm just going with a single train, because I have to lay a tile here to run that first train, then I have to upgrade this, and then I have to lay another tile here to run the second train. And by then, maybe it's even more attractive to buy a 3 train. So I think, and by the way, every company needs a train, no matter if you have a route or not. So yeah, I'm simply going to buy a 2 train, and yeah, I'm not going to go with a it's an interesting idea to say we buy a G train right away, right? Yeah, but I think for him it makes no sense now, but you know, you might consider something like that here, but there is, it doesn't really work. It doesn't really work at that stage of the game, I think. It could work, maybe, but no. You need a 2G train to make this work somehow, I think. If you control the yellow company, the EOD, and the 2, then you might consider something like that you kind of build down here pretty quickly with both companies, and then you could run a 1G from here down to here, hitting these 2 dots. That could be an interesting option, but I think, yeah, for the others, it's not really that exciting. So the 2 of the Hungarian, the 5 Kirchen, I gotta find the token here. There it is. And they're gonna, that's the last tile of that type. So I'm gonna aim on the one side for Buda, and on the other side I'm considering helping these guys laying their goods track. And then I also have to buy a train for $80. There we go. So then we come to the KK, and there we start with these guys located here, and I'm gonna spend 20 to lay track here, and I need this marker. Oops. And then I'm gonna simply lay a straight piece of track to get here to Linz, and then I'm gonna buy a train for 80 bucks. And I also think it makes more sense right now to buy a single train, because before I can run the other one, that will take me a couple of tile lays. So, okay. I'm gonna buy one for 80. And the last company is the 2 here. There we go. And, where do I want to go? Yeah, so this is now the point, right? We could have made, we should have negotiated so that this guy built tracks down here and I could have built track up here, and then we would have a nice, a small goods run to Vienna, which is nice, but yeah, that's probably not going to work out so easy, and therefore I think I'm just going to go to Brünn, also simply buying a 2 train. And there is 1 2 train left. However, we have a train export, and it will actually happen right now, because this is now the end of the operating round. And you can see here, so that means this train is now exported, and well, I'm pretty sure this does not apply yet. It's a bit strange. I guess phase 3 starts with the purchase of the first 3 train, but I'm gonna check that. Yeah, it's just like in every other 18xx game. I was just confused because when you remove this one, this phase 3 table becomes available. Okay, yeah, so we're at the end of the first OR, of the first operating round, and yeah, we go into a new stock round, and it's time to load this up here. It's kind of interesting because there is not a lot to purchase right now. So what are these guys going to do now with their money, right? I mean, he's sitting on like 75 bucks. He's sitting on more than 100 bucks, as is this guy. But nobody really has well, he actually does have the money to start the Bosnia at 60. He could do it. The question is, will the other players, is there an interest to help him to float this company? Now these guys also have 60, everybody, so we could buy 50% of the Bosnia if we wanted to do this. Yeah, I'm going to think about that. I don't really think so, because in a way it mainly helps this guy, who will then hold the presidency in 2 shares, while most of the others only will hold a single share. So I don't really believe that I'm going to give him that opportunity. But hey, who knows? So yeah, hope to see you in the next video. Bye.